For over 20 years, while working at the post office, our guest had a dream to one day own her own postal store with the ability to individualize customer service and provide guidance. And 3 years ago, she made that dream come true when she founded a logistics supercenter focused on serving startup businesses with fulfillment, services, education, and guidance. You will be so inspired by this founder startup stories. It's Fab Female Founder Friday on the Startup Life Live Show. Let's glow, everyone. Woohoo! Hello and welcome to the Startup Life Live Show. I'm your host, Ande, Lyons, 4 times founder and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of myself, I have such a deep appreciation of what you all are doing every single day. Oh my gosh, let me get out the clapper. I am so proud of you and awe and wonder of you getting up every day and bringing your dream to life. You're amazing because you know how it is. One minute you're popping the champagne and celebrating, and the next minute you're like crying into the champagne because a new growth moment has happened, right? Nothing prepares you for the seat that you're in right now as a founder. So I'm so thrilled that you carved out time to tune in and up your founder game right here in the Startup Life Live Show, because our conversations will inspire you, but they'll also spark an idea or a solution to a problem you may have because the founder we're chatting with is telling you how they or he or she figured it out, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, now I know what to do. So I'm grateful that you carved out the time to be here and tune in, whether you're joining us live or via the replay. Hello, or podcast listeners. I deeply appreciate your time and presence and want to remind you, as you do better as a founder, that's right, your startup will do better. Wherever you're tuning in, please be sure to click on that thumbs up, like button, because it helps us reach more founders around the world. I really, really appreciate that. And if you are tuning in via YouTube, if you'd be so kind as to subscribe and join there. And also, if you want to get a deep dive on whomever I am interviewing each week, join the Startup Life Live meetup group. I know there's going to be a founder that I'll be interviewing or an investor that will resonate with your journey. So links are in the show notes, Startup Life Live at the meetup group platform. Please join us there. I also want to talk a little bit today about this wonderful platform here. And it's owned by one of my favorite female founders right here in Boston, Bobby Carlton. And she's celebrating 8 years of Innovation Woman. And this is a platform, and ladies, you know what I'm talking about when I say this, that she created to end manels. You know what I'm talking about, right? All those tech conferences you attend where it's only men and usually white men speaking from the stage on panels. Fab female founders, please visit Innovation Women. You are an expert now. And one of the best ways to increase visibility for your startup is by speaking on a panel. Innovation Women is a favorite resource for event planners from around the world seeking women for their panels and events. It's very affordable. So go and join and sign up using that link. Oh, let's see. I don't think you can see it. So let me just pop it in the comments. It'll be in the show notes as well. But the bit.ly link is bit.ly/Ande, INNO women. So I really want you to be sure to take advantage of that. All right. I am going to go ahead and introduce you to this phenomenal woman that we're chatting with today. It's the amazing Tiffany Townsend, founder of Ship Black. And let me give you a little idea of her background. As I said earlier, she took her 20 plus years of experience and expertise and launched her dream business in 2019, Ship Black, where she not only provides all the outstanding fulfillment services you need for your product and e-commerce service business, but she also delivers an abundance of guidance and education newbie business owners desperately need as they begin meeting orders from customers. We're going to get such great information and inspiration from this remarkable woman. Let me bring her into the room. Here she comes. It's the one and only Tiffany Townsend. Woo!
Oh my goodness. I am so happy to be here, Ande.
I am delighted to have you. So, folks, I've got to tell you, if you follow the show and tune in, maybe you heard the episode with Kim Roxy, right? From La Make Beauty, the one who did
Yes.
her brows while we were talking. I mean, I was just so blown away. But she told everyone and gave everyone your advice, Tiffany, which was before you even design the packaging, talk to someone like Tiffany from Ship Black so that you can get the right packaging. So, I'm just going to do that. Shout out to Kim Roxy right here.
Yes, we love Kim and La Make Beauty.
Yay. And so where are you located, Tiffany?
I'm actually located in Houston, Texas, Ande.
Yay. Everyone, if you're tuning in live, let us know where you're located right now so we can cheer for you there. And also, you know that it's so important anytime you can to get your brand out there, right? You newbie founders. So the beauty of showing up live is you can amplify your brand. Share your business name, one-liner, and website URL in the comments, and we will showcase and celebrate you and your wonderful work live. And if you have any questions or want to say, we love Tiffany, pop those comments in the comment thread. So we'll bring them up right like this. But I am so excited to have you here, Tiffany. When I looked at your background, I was just in awe and wonder of everything that you've done. Why did this become a dream for you? Like what lit you up as you were there working at the post office? Because so many people have dreams, but they don't take action. So I'd love to find out, what was that compelling moment that you said, I'm going to do this and launch Ship Black and become an entrepreneur?
Well, I think I have to back up from when I actually interviewed for my job at the United States Postal Service in September of 1998. I don't want to date myself, but September 98, when I applied for the Postal Service, my postmaster at that time, interviewed me, and he asked me, did I have any questions at the end of the interview? And I said, well, I just want you to know that I want your job. And it was crickets. It was quiet. And I was like, either that was very brave or very stupid. I'm just thinking, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go. And it was a long pause. And he said, you're hired. And I'm like, okay. So, because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to go back home and tell, my mom that, I was being sassy, right? And didn't get the job because I was, being sassy. So what it did, Ande, from that moment on, it set me on a path of leadership. From that day on, when I walked through the doors of the United States Postal Service, I had to act as a postmaster. You know why? Because I was smart mouth, and I told him I wanted his job, but I worked every day to get his job. And so I actually became a postmaster after 5 years with the United States Postal Service. I actually became a postmaster, a small level office, and just started exceeding from then. And that's why people say, well, how do you have all of that within that time? Yeah, because I knew what I wanted before I came in.
That's right. You set the intention. And not only that, you walked the talk. You said, well, I can't be, light and fluffy here, right? And willy-nilly. I have to show up like I would as a postmaster, but you set the tone in the interview, right?
Yes, I did.
And he just had, now that's called branding, folks. When you tell people how you be that way. I love that story, something fierce. That's so inspirational. And I just want to say, It's a King is tuning in from Houston, and he can't wait to hear the shipping hacks from today. Hooray. And hey, Richard O, podcasting extraordinaire man. He's tuning in from Northern California. You can always find Richard O at Talk to Me Guy. Wow. Phenomenal producer of podcasts, folks. Anyway, so Tiffany, so then because you could have stayed at the post office, had a wonderful retirement package and done wonderful things. When and why did you step out? But first of all, did you have role models of entrepreneurs in your life, or were you hustling product in elementary school? Like, how did you know that you wanted to do your own thing?
I'm going to tell you, Ande, I absolutely did not want to be an entrepreneur. I was happy with my career in the United States Postal Service. Like I said, I set the tone. I wanted to be postmaster of the town that I grew up in, Angleton, Texas. And that's what I strived for all of my career. And it actually was a spiritual. God really put on my heart that it was time to go. And I'm like, you tricked me, you got me here thinking that this was, my place, and I worked hard here, and it was just a call to go higher. And I was like, okay, the only thing that I know how to do and what I've done the past 20 years is operate in the United States Postal Service, which is I love. I absolutely love the Postal Service, the products and services, everything about it. I loved it. And so the opportunity was to own my own postal store, to take it to another level. Okay, to actually enhance customer service. If you didn't know, Ande, the United States Postal Service was the second most popular gathering place in the community. First was the church, the
Yep.
second was United States Postal Service. Okay, because everybody wanted to come to the post office. And so I actually wanted to go back to the basics. I wanted to create an atmosphere and create a place where the community gathered.
What a beautiful vision. And thank you for saying yes, because like God will speak to many of us and we'll go, oh, hell no.
No, right?
We're not doing that. What do you mean you want me to go this way? I'm not doing it. No.
Right.
But you said, okay, you've got a bigger vision for me and greater work for me in the world. And so I better,
Right.
I'm going to say yes and step up. And folks, the reason I always ask this question on the show is that as a founder, you have to be called and compelled to bring your work to the world. Otherwise, you're not going to get out of bed during those dark days of the soul. And the dark days are an absolute guarantee as a founder. It's just how we respond. And so when we're lit up by a passion that's bigger than us and a purpose that's bigger than us,
Absolutely.
we can get up, right, Tiffany?
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk about how you began, because it's one thing, again, to have this dream and be called and compelled and know and have this vision of a place that, helps, with fulfillment and guidance and education, with a sense of community around it, so that folks feel at home and that they belong in your establishment. But where did you begin? Did you find the location first? Did you join a cohort or an accelerator program? Did you have advisors?
No, actually, it was for me, Ande. What I'm going to tell you in the natural, it was all God led, and so I actually end up taking over a postal store that was turnkey. The previous owner had actually passed away months prior, and the family was looking for someone to come and take over. And so I actually purchased the postal store from the previous owners, and we actually went from there. And so it was kind of like being in a house that was already furnished, and all they needed was someone with the expertise to take over and take the wheel. And that's what I done.
Oh my gosh. And Tiffany, this is wonderful. And I'll tell you why, folks, you don't have to come up with an idea.
Right.
And we had Allegra Stennett on the show from New Majority Capital, and they actually fund folks like you who want to buy an existing business,
Right.
because, you can get in much easier that way than figuring out all the steps and pieces and locations. Okay. Brilliant. I'm not surprised, but brilliant step. And so what was that like when you said, okay, I'm going to take over this location?
Well, I took over the location, Ande. I was having fun. I was learning about everyone in the community. And like I always say, I was minding my business, and the pandemic hit.
Oh my
The
gosh.
pandemic
That's
hit.
right, because you launched in 2019.
Yeah, the pandemic hit before I was able to celebrate my year. When I celebrated my year anniversary in my postal store, it was me and my 3 kids. With
just sitting there going, now what do we do?
Yeah, with cake and cookies. And we were on lockdown at the time. So I had absolutely no customers coming in. And Ande, at that moment, what I had to do is make a decision. If I was going to shut down, because at this time I've lost all of my foot traffic.
Yeah.
Am I going to shut down like all of the other business in the strip mall? Okay. Or am I going to stay open? And so what I had to do is pivot. I had to pivot. And I said, you know what? I don't have any customers here. I'm going to stay open. I'm going to try to serve the community as I know. So what I've done is actually turned my delivery van, I turned it into a mobile mailroom. And so I actually equipped it with all the type of mailing supplies. And then I started sending emails and contacting my clients to see what their mailing needs were. And what I found out is people not only had family in and around the Houston area, but family all over the United States and abroad that were lacking supplies, and they needed to get those supplies there. Everywhere did not have masks. Toilet paper was scarce nationwide. So I created these quarantine kits, Andy, where I was sending 10 masks, two paper towels, two toilet papers, gloves, and hand sanitizer. And I was sending quarantine kits out, Andy, from my postal store for my clients. I was sending them to family members nationwide and to China. We sent stuff to some some shelters in China for the kids that were homeless. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, everybody. I'm having an Andy-licious moment. How much you love that story. Oh my gosh, Tiffany, you are so remarkable and resourceful, but also deeply caring. What a
Absolutely.
phenomenal thing that you did for your community
Absolutely.
and your business. Talk about being creative. Oh my gosh. And Richard O wants to chime in here and says, the small town I grew up in, coastal California, had no postal delivery. Our PO was the town center and it was great.
Yep.
I love that. And hey, RJ, tuning in from LA. RJ from LA.
RJ from LA. Hey, RJ.
Oh my gosh, so happy, folks. Be sure to say hi to Tiffany. Put your comments in the threads, and we'd love to celebrate you, especially if you have a business or if you have a comment or question for Tiffany.
Yeah.
So now you're getting through creatively and resourcefully the pandemic and building your brand, because your brand incorporates, we care about you. We want community here. We want you to rely on us to get things shipped, right? To get ship done.
Right. Yeah. To make ship happen.
Make ship happen. And so, what steps did you take then? And because you had a business model and now you had a complete pivot, and who knew how long this was going to last and what was going to happen next. Talk a little bit about that, please.
Absolutely, Andy, because this where Ship Black was birthed. So what happened is, when I talked about the strip centers closing down, of course you had mandates on boutiques, stores to shut down, restaurants shut down. And so you had people trying to survive, Andy. You had people coming up with side hustles like nobody's business because they had to feed their family.
Yes.
And so what happened is, of course, the post office did stay open, but post office had long lines and was not sanitized. And so I end up with every day just a crowded lobby of people. Okay. I'm like, I'm gonna have to do a line because people coming in. But what I end up having was, in my lobby, businesses learning and collaborating for knowledge. Okay. That's Ship Black.
Yeah.
Businesses learning and collaborating, because everyone was drawing from each other. People didn't have Instagram pages. This individual didn't know about this. This individual didn't know about that. And everybody was feeding off each other. And so here I am with the most knowledge, and I'm giving instructions to this place. Okay, grab this. Make sure you have this. Let's look at this packages. Oh, I have some of this at home. Okay, when you come tomorrow, bring this. And I had businesses learning, and we were all collaborating together. Everyone was trying to survive. And what I found out, after so many people coming and crying at my counter, Andy, for making horrible shipping mistakes. And I'm talking about shipping mistakes, meaning I'm going to sell something and I'm going to sell it for $25 and charge $5 for shipping, and then get into the counter to mail it, and the shipping is actually $21. And so they've not made anything. No. And when you get that over and over again, you really understand. And for me, it was a passion. I need to educate these individuals on how to actually properly pack and ship and price. They have to understand the metrics piece.
Absolutely. And folks, this is when people were creative. I'm not wearing that necklace anymore. Can I put that up on Etsy? Or, there were people going by and doing Gary Vee's favorite thing, which is to go by yard sales and go, oh yeah, I can move that product. No problem. I'll buy it for this and sell it for that. Excellent. But you're absolutely right. So whenever I buy from someone on Etsy or an individual selling, I know that I'm going to pay a lot for shipping, and I'm happy to do that because I know that this is part of their business. Right. But boy, that, broken hearts over, wait, I'm going to make $1 on this. Maybe, that's terrible. So and I just love all the parts and pieces of what you just said, Tiffany, about people coming together, mind sharing, you going, oh yeah, we can figure this out here and there. And you also then saw that this was tapping into another side of what you wanted to give people,
Yes.
and of your brilliance, which is your ability to teach and educate and guide, which
Absolutely.
is just a
Absolutely.
natural extension of your extraordinary leadership skills, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, how
Absolutely,
fulfilling.
absolutely. And so what I end up doing was actually turning my people were making so many mistakes at the shipping piece. I'm like, let me just do this for you. Just drop your stuff off here and leave. Drop it off. It was during the pandemic, right?
Yeah,
Drop it off, leave. So I'm got a counter full of stuff. So to make a long story short, in that, Andy, that's how I end up with a fulfillment center. I end up converting my whole postal store into a fulfillment center of products. Products just left there because I didn't want them to improperly pack it.
right.
Okay, because they'll get breakage. They'll put it in a big box when it
Yep.
should be in a small. So you got dim weight come into play, right?
Yep.
You have all of these things they just didn't understand. And I didn't have time to teach them so many of them at one time. So it was easier for me to just to take it and take care of myself and build them. And so what I created was my fulfillment center. And so I turned my whole postal store into a fulfillment center. And I created my business off the need of the community. I
Oh
created
my
my business
gosh.
from the need of the community. And now that's what I'm doing. But that education piece is just at the base of
Oh,
what.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. But also you did what so many people do focus groups for, and years of, studying and watching. They do beta. Okay. They
Right.
study, what does the customer really need? When you solve a
Absolutely.
problem that a customer not only wants you to solve, but is willing to pay for you to solve,
Right.
you have won. I mean, that's goosebumps material. So I love it. Let me just say, It's a King says, hi, Tiffany, you're awesome.
Oh, thank you, Sakine.
And RJ from LA, my mother worked in the post office, and I am fortunate to have met Tiffany. She is absolutely
RJ.
amazing as a businesswoman and a role model.
Oh my God.
I agree 100%, RJ. And hi, Monsi. Is that it? She goes, I love this.
Yeah.
I do too, Monsi. It's just so like, wow, right? When you think about all the things that happened to Tiffany, and she turned it into something even better.
Right.
And so that's because she was able to step out of her comfort zone when God said, I want you to go do this. And then the pandemic. And folks, they don't teach you this. Sometimes maybe in business school they'll talk about this, but you don't hear this on the shows and on the stage, which is, there's a lot of things you can plan for as an entrepreneur, but not Mother Nature and
Right.
not pandemics and not things that happen out of the blue. And so, that's incredible. And yes, It's a King, genius. Right here, you're looking at her. Let me just put her right into the big screen. That's it. Genius. Oh my gosh. So now you've got things humming along, but what did you do for systems? Because I'm thinking software. I'm thinking, well, someone's dropping something off, but you don't want it to become a big mess here. You've got to start categorizing and systematizing and figuring out what your profit margin is off of all of this effort, because you have to keep the lights on as well. Talk about that process. As you said, okay, fulfillment center. What am I going to do? And what software platform is going to track all of this for me?
Yeah, that was a challenge, Andy, because I was fortunate enough, like I said, I did have a postal store. So I really, was able to try to use those systems. With the postal store systems aren't set up because for fulfillment. When you go into a postal store, the prices there are the margins are much higher. And so I actually had to go and start doing a little bit of research on
And Tiffany, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you know what? RJ has a great question right here. And I think this is the perfect time to answer it. RJ from LA says, I think of Amazon as a fulfillment center. Can you give the definition of a fulfillment center as it applies to Ship Black?
Yeah. So, that's a good question. So we actually house the products And when the orders come in, we actually ship them. And so it's just like what Amazon does. We actually house the products at our warehouses, and we actually use the WMS. So we use a warehouse management system that actually integrates with the stores, the marketplaces where you see stuff online. And so
Oh
we
my
actually integrate. We
gosh.
actually integrate through Amazon as well. And so,
Wow. Okay. So now that we
mhm,
have that clear, folks, just think of
yeah.
that in your mind. Someone picking that off the shelf, and you see it a lot post pandemic at the grocery store, people
Hmm.
filling orders that they're going to get shipped out.
Absolutely.
So that's a good understanding of fulfillment. So you had to figure out, then do your research and say, okay,
Hmm.
what's going to be the best system that will integrate, right, with
Yeah. Hmm.
Shopify, with
Hmm.
all the different platforms, so that it can be a seamless operation. And I'm just also going to say, founders, you have a product, you don't want to be fulfilling that product. You want
Absolutely.
Ship Black to be fulfilling so that you can be marketing
Hmm.
and you can be selling
And
and you can
networking.
and networking and branding and doing all the other things that your founderhood requires for your product business. So how did you find out about, you said WMS? How did you find
Yeah,
out
I
about that?
actually end up choosing ShipStation. The founders of ShipStation are from Austin, Texas, which is I'm in Texas.
Right.
And so that so I end up with ShipStation. And I can say, and I've actually spoke with the individuals there at ShipStation. I'm like, I never was formally trained, but just like my career at the United States Postal Service, it was a lot of strategic planning, problem solving. I never went into anything actually knowing what the actual procedure was. I actually just figured it out on my own. And so I figured out ShipStation, like I figured out so many other programs and things. And that's what I used as an integration software. And
Mm.
actually, I chose the best integration software because ShipStation actually integrates with hundreds of marketplaces. And so that made it flexible where it doesn't matter where the client actually had their marketplace. It was an easy integration
And
process.
And I want to remind listeners and viewers, we say this a lot in the Startup Life Live show, but what all you founders have in common, you are fierce problem solvers.
Hmm.
And look, I practically saw Tiffany fan herself over the fact that she got to go and solve that problem. Bring it on. I can do this. But no, that's true. You can't be fearful. You have to be
Hmm.
fearless when it comes
Hmm.
to problem solving. And you did
Right.
that. And I love that you went with a local business, someone
Hmm.
from Texas, because then you feel good about supporting, but also you can go over maybe and have a clink or
Yeah.
with them, right? And get to know them that way. And
Right.
so then how did you start to market that side of your business?
Andy, I will tell you, you mentioned Miss Kim Roxy at the beginning of the show, and Kim was actually our first fulfillment client. And I always give her a shout out because she actually, just trusted um, her products with us. And it actually just caught wind. It was word of mouth. And I tell you, for that first year, Andy, I was, when they say had your hands to the plow, I was working and it was word of mouth. When you do great things and when
Yeah,
you treat people right, and when they start seeing the proof is in the pudding, good news travels fast. And
that's
so
right.
it was just word of mouth. I kept getting client after client after client through word of mouth. The word of mouth.
Wow.
Kim lit the fire and passed the torch, and it's so many people. They just came to me word of mouth. I still, to this day, have not yet really launched a big marketing campaign for Shiplap.
Hey, can I just say, word of mouth is absolutely the best way to glow and grow.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
really is, because and I've talked to several founders on the show, same thing. They didn't spend a dime because
Hmm.
they were just trying to keep up with the current orders.
Yeah, right,
And,
right.
and that's earned income
Hmm.
as far as I'm concerned, because
Hmm.
what you delivered, you figured out a problem people wanted you to solve and were willing to pay for it. And you
Hmm.
added the extra icing on that cake
Yeah.
by giving them the service and the compassion. Because one of
Hmm.
the things that really, the minute I got done interviewing Kim Roxy, I just went right there and found you on LinkedIn because I said that advice, as someone who had a product company, that advice is so important because founders, you need to think big. You need to think that someday pallets of your product will be going out to Costco or big box stores or big locations. And so you want to make sure everything is snug in those boxes that then get piled onto those pallets. And it's all about measurement. And you can save a lot of money if your packaging is ideal for shipping. Talk a little bit about how you educate folks, Tiffany,
Well,
for that.
I have to mention, and as quick as I know how the pound cake story,
Good.
because this was one of the big things that happened during the pandemic. When I talk about side hustles, I'm talking about people feeding their families. So you had a mother and daughter who actually made pound cakes and sold them to family and friends online. They sold these cakes at $25, which is a good price for a cake. They charge $5 for shipping. Someone told them about the free boxes that the United States Postal Service have, which is called flat rate boxes. So they use the large flat rate boxes for the mailing of these cakes. They baked all day, all night, brought them to me to drop off, and the shipping on that was $21. The
Yeah,
shipping was
that's
$21.
not, there's no profit there.
The shipping was $21. They
Yeah.
only charged $5 and they sold the cake for $25.
Yeah.
And so all of you math magicians out there, do the math on that. So I had them crying there. The conversation with me should have been even at the idea, because I would advise them, if they wanted to sell those, use the small loaves.
Right.
Okay. And then let's weigh them and see, and then what type of packaging we're going to use, and then how much shipping to actually charge. Okay. And people think $5 is a cute number. I'll charge $5 for shipping. I'll charge $3.99 for shipping. I'll charge not, even if they say $9.99. The metrics doesn't work like that.
No.
The welcome signs. One client I had, he had the tall welcome signs that everybody has at their door, right?
Right.
He loved them. He thought they was great. They were selling on Amazon, $30 or $40. He ordered a whole pallet from China, brought them to me. The shipping was $29 on that. The shipping was $20. He wanted to sell it for $34.99. People are going to pay more, almost more for the postage than the item.
Yeah.
So the conversation should have been had before he purchased the pallet. And that's what I say, why fail first? Okay. When you have the idea that you actually want a product, when you're talking about where to source it, you better be having those conversations about what are we actually going to source? How much of that product are we going to have? What's the weight on it? How are we actually going to ship it? Is this mostly going to be for retail stores? And if so, have your retail stores lined out. That's not an easy process. Or are we going to have an e-commerce store and we're going to sell this online? Now, what I advised him to do, Ande, because all was not lost, especially to me as a problem solver. So we actually started going to boutiques in and around the Sugar Land area and asked them if they could actually house that inside of the stores. And he actually started doing the BAPAs. Okay, BAPAs is buy online, pick up in store, where he actually was able to.
Wait. BAPAs?
BAPAs, absolutely. BAPAs is buy online, pick up in store. Life will never be the same now that BAPAs is here. And so
just never knew it was called BAPAs. I love that name.
Yeah, it's BAPAs. And so we had actually in my store, Ande, when I first turned everything over into a fulfillment center, I actually used the retail space in the front for e-commerce businesses that just wanted to have their stuff on display in the store, because the traffic came in, they were able to purchase it, and they were able to offer BAPAs. They were able to offer buy online, pick up in store, and actually had a location, right? You don't want individuals coming to your home.
No.
Right? So they were actually able to, and we provided a touchless delivery where they came up and they text that number in and we put it in the trunk and they drove off. Ande, I done it all. Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. Tiffany Townsend, CEO, founder of Ship Black. Everybody continue to say woohoo to Tiffany for figuring this out, but also enlightening, because We do. We have very clever ways where we think we can make
Mhm.
money, but
Mhm.
knowledge is power. And
Yep.
Tiffany, I really think you need to be speaking at everywhere.
Oh, I do too, Andy.
and and all the cohorts and all the accelerators, because
Absolutely.
most businesses have a product. I mean,
Mhm.
God bless all of you, the tech platforms that are, all in the cloud, but having had a product, and I have a deep appreciation for folks who have
Mhm.
products. The shipping part is so important. And I'm just going to say, thanks, Australia, Edinburgh here tuning in. She's doing lots of
Hey,
the high
Australia.
fives and all of that. And Monsi's like, what? Wow, really important to plan,
Yes, thank
and
you, Nancy.
this is great information from It's a King. And yes, to all the cohorts, right? I agree. She needs to be out, they need to be zooming her in. For
Mhm.
all of them to be talking about this is so important.
Mhm.
Boppers, wow. I mean, I've ordered stuff off Target or J.C. Penney, and they've said, you want to pick this up in the store, but I just was not hip to
Mhm.
Bappas.
Yep, that's what it is. It's
But
Bapas.
but look at this. Like, I just am so excited that you have,
Mhm.
like, you figured all these things out
Mhm.
and you were able to deliver, which of course makes your heart sing, right?
Absolutely, Andy. Absolutely.
Oh, and during the
Mhm.
pandemic and everything else that you were doing. So and the word of mouth, everything that you have. But let's talk about something that many founders have to address and deal with also from the beginning of their business is, how the heck am I going to pay for this, and how am I going to keep the lights on in my own home and feed my family
Mhm.
while I'm launching this business? How did that work for you? How did you fund your business?
Well, Andy, let me tell you, when I done my retirement from the United States Postal Service, I did serve 20 years. So I did have money in my savings. And remember at the beginning when I mentioned that I did buy my business turnkey.
Yeah.
And so, fortunate for me, I was able to actually pay cash for that business and buy it turnkey. And so, I didn't have any expenses. And like I said, I was just going to have people in my postal store, and we were going to have cookies and coffee, and we were going to be cackling hens all day, and I was going to be able to talk and just provide this great, before the pandemic started, when I said I was minding my business, Andy, I was just on the verge of living my best life, right? And and the pandemic hit, and then I had to go into action, and I started to do that. And so Ship Black, that other part wasn't really planned for. And so I had to continue, and I have continued over the last 4 years to bootstrap my business and actually fund it from my own bank
Right.
account.
Right.
And it's just that I believe in it, so, and it's not
Yeah.
so much of believing in me. I believe in the vision that God gave me.
Yeah.
I believe that He called me from the United States Postal Service for a cause bigger than me. And I see it every day when I get to help a startup, when I get
Right.
to help them make sense of shipping, when I get to help them keep their bottom line out of the red and in the black. And so it's all these great things that I believe in so much that I am able to keep bootstrapping my business until that day comes when someone just wants to buy Ship Black from me. And of course, I already have an extra exit strategy, but I love helping, Andy, and
Well,
that's
and
what I do.
you are uniquely qualified. This is why you
Mhm.
got tapped on the shoulder,
Right.
Tiffany, because you are uniquely qualified to
I
be the
love it.
fab female founder of this business. And I got to tell you, bootstrapping is mwah. You know
Mhm.
why, folks? Bootstrapping gives you a nice long runway so that when
Mhm.
pandemics happen, you have a lot of wiggle room. Nobody's sitting there tapping their nails against the
Mhm.
countertop going, hello. You are moving and grooving at your pace that works for you. And yeah, you figure out profitability, you figure out all those details along the way. In the meantime, your level of fulfillment of your own purpose and joy is
Mhm.
way up here, I imagine. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yay, yay, yay. And Australia, Edinburgh says it's the passion of service for me.
Yes.
Exactly right.
Yes.
I mean, there's no price to that at the end of the day when you're feeling that incredible. And
Mhm.
RJ says Tiffany is too, and I'm not sure what that means, but okay. But so Tiffany, and as you've moved along, you've shown us how you figured out the fulfillment components. But let's talk about and how you shared. I mean, you really loved saying, hey, folks, I want to educate you and I want to guide you because I want you to win. Right.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about how you're building that side of the business, because as I showed when I was introducing you, there you are. Mailing solution specialist, Tiffany Townsend, email info@shipblack.com.
We actually have a website, Ande, shipblackuniversity.com.
Okay.
And so the shipblackuniversity.com is more of our education piece, the education component, Ande, because now, and businesses are ever evolving and I'm pivot. So not only am I teaching e-commerce businesses about how to actually properly pack, ship, and price, I actually teaching young adults and at-risk youth and individuals on the autism spectrum how to actually work in a warehouse. I'm teaching them logistics. I'm teaching them supply chain 101. And so it just gets bigger than that, Ande. It gets bigger than that. The more, it seems like the more steps I take and the more I show my faith, the more God is opening up the vision for me to see more and to see it's bigger than that, Ande. So it's bigger than packing and shipping. Who knew?
It is, but again, you are uniquely qualified, and we're going to get into, especially around the autism and special needs and at risk. People need to be trained to be able to come in, and it's a wonderful gig for folks. You're able to pay them a good salary and give them a sense of purpose to get out of the house and come in, and the family that's supporting them feels great about it as well. And who wouldn't want to be around you? But it's scalable. That training you can take anywhere.
Absolutely.
And same thing with Ship Black University. That is something that you can put into the hopper, do a training that people can buy while you are sleeping.
Absolutely.
And that's a sweet revenue line that I'm in love with for you. And so let's just talk a little bit about where you see this business going, because you've done you have shared such great information. Folks, if you have any questions for Tiffany, pop them in the show notes, and those of you who are watching the replay, pop them into the comment section. We answer questions after the live show. But let's talk about, you've gotten into a cohort yourself right now that's going to really up your game, called EWOC. And I am just so excited about that. Tell everybody what that's about.
Yeah, it's a special cohort for women of color, and WeBank is doing it. And it's actually, all of these women-owned businesses of color, and we're really geared to, break barriers. But the room is so rich just because of the individuals that's in it. And you have businesses from all different levels that's in the cohort, and they actually get to share that expertise with us. And so I just think it was so amazing that I was even chosen as one of the women to partake in this.
Is it a national cohort? I mean, women from around the country or regional?
This is in and around the Houston area.
Great. Now,
but it's all different industries together.
Absolutely. And folks, the reason why I always encourage folks to hop into a cohort, especially those that are free, apply, because that peer support is what you're talking about, right? You're talking to other women of color founders who are working on their businesses as well. And now you've got a collective mind share and emotional support you didn't have, because founders, nobody knows what you're going through like another founder. Because your family is like, that's great, honey. And they're biting their nails watching you.
Right. It's like, she's crazy.
Why is she working so hard like that? I don't understand it. Where's your vacation time? But anyway, that's so remarkable. And so, folks, I just want to encourage you to always look at ways that you can participate, masterminds, cohorts, accelerators, especially those that are free. There's lots of them. I have a list if you'd like.
Yeah, and free and paid, Ande, because some people, if they pay for something, they're definitely all in. Getting to these cohorts, but it's the equity, the people equity, the human capital of being in a room with these individuals that's so rich, and it's really not an amount of money that you can put on that. So
and so what does Shiplak look like in a few years? I know you said, oh, I've got an exit strategy, but where do you see things going? Because I mean, it's just been, I thought I was going this way. Wait, no, I'm not. Take a right turn. Okay.
Mhm.
Now I'm over here. And what do you think? What does that look like now going forward?
Andy, I will say, with the shifts in the economy, okay, and with the inflation and, you know, fears of a depression and different things like that, a lot of e-commerce have slowed down.
Yeah.
And so again, you just keep pivoting. And so I am screaming to the mountaintops more on the education. And I want to take this time out, especially for e-commerce businesses. If your sales are not where you want to, how do I scale? What happens when everything picks back up? Now it's a
Right.
great time for those e-commerce business owners to invest in their self, invest in their business. And actually, let's talk about your new product that you want to add to your line. Let's talk about the metrics. Let's talk about, is this item actually properly packed and shipped? Is this item actually going to make you money? And let's revisit what you already have. Can you bring that down? Can you bring that from 8 ounces to 6 ounces? Raise the price up some and adjust that. Let's look at the shipping there. What can we do now that everything is slow? Okay, because you don't prepare for this during peak season.
No, you're
Let's
too
take this
busy.
time now. Okay, we still have time to actually start getting orders and getting product ready for peak season. But this is a great time for e-commerce owners to have those conversations with mailing solution specialists like myself and actually get things in order and get ready for the onslaught. It is coming, people. It is coming back great. And the best thing you can do as an e-commerce business owner is be prepared, and
Right.
not even to hit the same goals that you hit, but to go higher. I
Right.
don't want things to go back. Let me go back pre-pandemic. Absolutely not. You
No,
want to
no, no.
go, you want to go all the way up. We don't want to go back to pre-pandemic numbers.
Right.
All
But you
we
want to
had a
be
great pandemic. Let's go higher.
yeah, but you want to be, as we say here in Boston, wicked smarter
You
at
want to
it.
be wicked smarter. I love it.
Because that's what's so important is that now with Tiffany's help, you can get, things at and trust me, that ounce, just even half an ounce sometimes is going to save a lot of money. Right, Tiffany?
Oh, absolutely. I'm working with a client now, and that's what we're up against, and we're actually having to downsize the whole package. They actually had to buy new packaging, smaller
Yeah.
boxes, and take it from 4 bags to 2 bags, 2 pouches in there, which reduced the shipping. Now they'll sell the item at a cheaper rate, but the postage is not as high. And
Right.
they actually now won't be contributing to postage. The postage will actually pay for itself. That makes a difference in
Oh
a
my gosh,
business,
yes.
because if you have postage on in this particular item, the running postage on that starts about $8.45. Now we'll be, and they only charge $5.
Yep.
So they're paying, $3.95 for every order that goes out, right?
Listen, any little thread of profit you can get gets you to profitability and
Get you the profitability,
sustainability.
right? So we're gonna adjust all that. I'm working with them, and it was just, if they were at the co-packer, if
Yeah.
they had talked to me before they got to the co-packer, and we had got those boxes down just a little bit
Yep.
and took 1 ounce out of each bag, it would have took them into
Absolutely,
a
folks.
whole
And
nother bracket. It would have been first class and not priority mail. And then it would have them in a different bracket as far as the mailing and the shipping prices. And they would have been able to have blacks on their bottom line instead of reds.
there we go. That's even better. And RJ from LA, I missed your question here earlier. Does your fulfillment center interact with sources like Alibaba of China? I am so proud and excited to learn and support this business.
I know Alibaba in China, they actually just provide products. And
Okay.
so we don't provide products. Ship Black owns no products at all. Ship Black just house other
Yep.
people's products. So we don't own.
Okay. And then he also has a question. Are you considering the innovation of AI, artificial intelligence, incorporated into your business?
Oh, absolutely. We've already started with AIs, and the fulfillment business and having a state of the art warehouse. We've already started with that. A lot of the integration and a lot of the AIs these brands use that as far as directing their marketing and making sure that they have the right people group and the right targeted audience. And so they've actually been using some forms of AI already, in this field.
Oh my gosh. And Australia, Edinburgh asks, do you offer insurance options for shipments?
Well, we actually use all of the major mailers, and so all of them come with insurance options. But
Excellent.
please note, and I'm glad she brought that up, because one thing that people don't understand, the United States Postal Service, of course, is the cheapest for first class, but first class doesn't automatically come with insurance. So it depends on what the price of your item is. If you have an item that you're shipping and it's a $70 item and you're shipping it first class, it's not protected against loss or damage because first class doesn't offer you automatic insurance. That's only priority mail, and that offers you $50 worth of insurance when you're using the United States Postal Service. So if that item is lost or damaged and you use priority mail, you still won't get your 70. You'll get up to $50. So think about that. The cheapest way may not always be the best way. You need to make sure your items are protected against loss or damage. You may want to use FedEx or UPS that automatically gives you $100 worth of insurance. Small businesses cannot take the hit of continuous loss and damage and returns. Small businesses can't stay out of the red and in the black with that method.
I'm writing down the cheapest way is not always the best way.
It's not the best way,
Folks,
Andy, especially if
that's
you have
like,
a product that's of some type of value or any product.
right.
You can't, small businesses, let me tell you one thing, two things small businesses can't do. Offer free shipping, because shipping is not free. Nothing about the United States Postal Service, UPS, FedEx, DHL, etc. is free. They don't give anything away for free. Shipping is not free.
Shipping is built into the price, folks, if they're saying shipping is free.
Yeah, shipping is.
Or how about
Shipping is
when they
not free.
say,
And
oh, your order
insurance.
is now ready for free shipping? What does that mean now that you're up to like $100? That's just a way to get you to buy more, folks.
Yeah, it's about folks. And then the next thing is your insurance. Make sure that your item is protected against loss or stolen, because insurance claims does add up, and you don't want to not honor anything when a customer has something is lost or it's broken, because remember I talked about earlier about word of mouth, and word of mouth can make your business or it definitely can break your business. And so the one thing you want to do is just be clear of your returns on checkout. Make sure it's something in there that actually states about what your return policy is, and then insurance and things like that, and what you're going to do if that package is actually lost or stolen. You're going to already let the customer know what steps are going to be taken before they even check out.
Oh my gosh. Folks, don't you love learning from Tiffany? I mean, come on. Please follow her everywhere she goes. It's at Ship Black Co. on Instagram. She's on
I'm
LinkedIn.
on
So
LinkedIn.
please, all the links are in the show notes. You have a deep advocacy and love for the autism community. Talk a little bit about that. How did that come to be? And what are you most proud of with Ship Black and the community and how you serve it?
Well, Andy, I do have a son on the autism spectrum. He was diagnosed at age 2. And so I've actually, lived with this for all of my son's life. And the one thing, Andy, is, feeling alone. I didn't want to I felt alone because I didn't have anyone else that I felt like
Sure.
understood. And then I always wanted my son to have more options. And so when we actually, and I say we, me and my husband, knew that we were going to be entrepreneurs and we're going to purchase our postal store, we wanted to make sure that we create jobs for individuals on the autism spectrum, because at this time my son had just graduated and he did go to college for 1 year, but it was jobs. Now what?
Right.
Now what when you're out of school? Now what? And these individuals, I mean, they really want to be, big members in society. They don't
They,
want to stay stuck in a back room, for the rest of
no.
their life. They want to be active in society, and their gifts, their superpowers, Andy, is like no other. And I have to make sure that every time I speak of them, they are superpowers. Because let me tell you, I do not have a photographic memory.
No. No, you do not, or you don't have like the ability to pick up any language wherever you are or play any type. Their beautiful brains are brilliant. We are
Mhm.
the ones that need to adjust so that
Mhm.
we can provide them the outlet they need. We're the ones who are lacking, in my opinion, right,
Oh,
Tiffany?
absolutely, absolutely.
But
And the mailing industry, Andy, is so repetitive that individuals on the spectrum thrive in that type of environment,
yes,
thrive in that. And then the postal service and the packing and shipping is on memory. So some
yes.
of their greatest assets, when you think about what careers are good, we're right here. And so I
Yeah.
really want to make sure that I capture that.
Oh my gosh, that's so important. Everyone deserves to wake up every day feeling they're contributing to the
Yes, to
world in
society.
some way while using
Absolutely.
their own awesome sauce. So you
Mhm.
have, you figured that out. You're absolutely right. Attention to detail is
Absolutely.
key for anybody on the spectrum. They just are like,
Absolutely.
what? How did you know that? And the rest of us are just like space cadets at the end of the day. So I
Oh
love that
yeah.
you're able
Quality
to.
control, Andy, and inventory management. I mean, they pay attention when we got some stuff coming in. I mean, they're looking for any snag, tear, any crease, anything that's not supposed to be there. Their eye will give it to you. And I'm like, sometimes I have to like, I think this will pass. They're like, no. I'm like, sit it aside. I'll come back to it. Because they're not letting nothing slide.
Oh no, their eyes see any discrepancy that's
Any
out of place.
discrepancy.
Which
Absolutely.
is mwah. I
Mhm.
love that something fierce. I agree. It's King says, I can't believe I'm getting this for free. Great information.
Oh yeah.
Hallelujah on that. So let's go into some of the intangibles, okay?
Okay.
Nobody succeeds alone. I don't care, folks. Whenever you hear that she's a self-made woman or a self-made man, nope, nope, nope. They are lying. They didn't get there just by themselves.
Mhm.
Who would you like to do a quick shout out for adding wind to your sails and opening up doors and lifting you up when you needed it most?
Andy, I have to go with, I two have. I'm blessed to be born as a twin. And so God knew that this purpose was so great that He made two of us. And so I have my twin sister by my side, who's always encouraging me and supporting me and understand things that probably everyone don't understand because she kind of has my same mind. And then my husband, having the decision, and even after 20 years, when I tell him, the Lord said it's time to leave the postal service, he had to be in agreement with that.
Oh
And
yeah.
he had to be in agreement with
It's
that.
just saying, say what?
Yeah, say what? And that, and bootstrapping.
Right.
Bootstrapping is not, if you and your spouse are not on the same page and you're taking money out of, your bank
Oh,
account,
yeah, you guys have to be on the same
have
page
to
with
be on
your
the same page.
darlings and your
Yes. And so
beloveds when
that
you're pulling money out of that 401k going, I really feel called to do this. Wait, wait, wait. I thought we had that earmarked for XYZ.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And so my husband, his agreement and alignment that we have really makes it easier for me to be able to operate to the fullest of my capacity, knowing that I have him that's backing me up, that's supporting me, and making sure that I'm my best self. So,
oh my gosh. And it's so wonderful. And I'm here clapping and celebrating the twin and
yes,
the
it's
darling
two of us.
husband
Hmm.
for supporting you like that. Because folks, we have to have that person or those people in our lives
Hmm.
who believe in us because that's how
Absolutely.
we win. You can
Hmm.
get coached and mentored, but the ingredient that helps you win is when someone believes you can do it, especially
Right.
when you see no evidence yourself, like, what am I doing?
Absolutely.
I love that. And then when you feel inadequate, because there's we're going to be talking about this on Tuesday with our guests, there's a high level of mental health challenges for founders.
Hmm.
And this needs to be talked about more. And
Absolutely.
so when we're feeling inadequate and
Hmm.
overwhelmed, and when you are finding yourself feeling inadequate and overwhelmed, Tiffany,
Hmm.
and also just challenged as a leader and a founder, how do you shift your mindset? Because this is a skill, everyone. There are just the challenges of entrepreneurship are for reals, right?
Oh,
Hashtag the
absolutely.
struggle is real. And we need to have, ability to have, the peer support, but also mindset hacks to help us get
Absolutely.
through these tough times. So what have you used? What can you share with folks?
Well, And yeah, I actually rely heavily on my faith. That's the only way that I can make it through. I love music. So I love listening to some good encouraging music, um, and just relying and turning to my faith to get me through, because it's so, times are so uncertain. And then I always go back to God. I'm like, okay, you called me here. And so of course, I have to stay close to make sure that I'm on the right track. But that's actually, that's how I get to. That's how I get through those tough moments, because people don't understand. God gave a vision to me. He didn't give it to everyone. So I can't
That's
expect
right.
them to understand everything that's going on. And that was hard, because you want sympathy. You want people to really understand. And I'm thinking like, hey, you're the one who left this good job and 5 weeks of vacation and, all of these good benefits to do this. So you're on your own. So yeah.
Oh, faith helps you walk through things
Hmm.
because, again, you're in partnership, is what I'm sensing. You're in
Absolutely.
partnership with the
Absolutely.
divine. And
Hmm.
so you understand that this is really hard, but you're going to get through it and you're going to
Absolutely.
get it figured out. I mean, you feel the
Absolutely.
feels, folks.
Hmm.
Remember, you got to feel the feels so that they
Absolutely.
can be diluted. I always say, Tiffany, it's kind of like adding baking soda and that delicious chocolate cake on its own, it tastes terrible. But when you blend it
Absolutely.
in, that's great.
I
And,
love that.
but I also just, I really feel that faith is something that could easily be stitched on a pillow. Maybe with George Michael singing it in the background. No. But
Oh my goodness.
it's key. And so often we don't even have evidence of what we're doing is going to work out.
Hmm.
And I tell folks, Tiffany, that when you launch a business, you will win no matter what happens,
Hmm.
because you could go back to work somewhere, right, with
Absolutely.
these incredible skill sets, with a proven track record of things that you've figured out. And
Hmm.
now you're going to command a bigger salary and
Absolutely.
recognition, et cetera. Or you can just say, you know what? I didn't do this right this whole on the first one. The second one, I know what I'm going to do right. And you start
Yeah.
another business. So you
Yep.
always win. Please tell folks how they can work with you, how they can find you, how they can celebrate you. I don't know if we've done enough today. And
Um,
Mossie's like, they think we're crazy. The people
yeah.
around us. Seriously, so true. And
Absolutely.
RJ from LA is saying, awesome interview. Thank you. Thank you. And of course,
Yes.
Monsi, you're absolutely right. Mental health is so important. Don't forget, everybody, 988 is the new number to call when you're challenged.
Hmm.
RJ from LA says, a great pleasure meeting Tiffany and her husband and watching how they work together. Tons of
Absolutely.
thumbs up. That's
Absolutely. Well, if you
hugging.
have any e-commerce brands that want to really take advantage of this downtime and even thinking about scaling, please make sure you email us at info@shipblack. Very simple. Email us at info@shipblack and put free. And I'll be sending the link out for our free 15-minute consultation. And so that free 15-minute consultation will just give me and my team an idea of what you have going on, where do you want to go, and then we can kind of track from there. But I love just getting that insight. Let's just
Yeah.
get a conversation, because you may be on the right track or you may not. And so if they, again, just email us info@shipblack.com, type in free. We'll send you the link for that free 15-minute consultation with your mailing
Excellent.
solution specialist. And it's up from there.
Oh my gosh. And I personally, and I invite anybody who's tuned in and watching and listening, think about an organization that could have Tiffany speak for them, whether
Hmm.
they pipe her in on Zoom or fly her in. I'm telling you, this is the kind of education we want to see uh, wherever cohorts or accelerators are happening, because it doesn't get talked about enough. And a lot of the cohort founders are just starting out and they need Tiffany. Spread the word, everybody. Any last
Oh,
thoughts
thank
before I
you.
pop you into the green room, my wonderful, delicious, fab female founder?
No, thank you so much, Andy, for your platform, for your community, for your wittiness. I love it. You made this interview so great. And thank you for helping me making ship happen.
Keep making shit happen. That's a stitch that on the pillow moment, 100%. I'm sorry. And great elevator pitch, Richard O says.
All
Okay.
right.
So nice practicing that with everybody. I hope folks caught that as well. I agree. I'm
Mhm.
going to pop you in the green. Thank you, Tiffany.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you. I'm so delighted Kim Roxy spoke of you, and I
Yes,
couldn't get you booked on this show fast enough.
Thank you.
You added tremendous value today. You saw it in the comments, and everybody will be commenting, I'm sure, for years to come. Oh my gosh, we learned so much from Tiffany today, because who knew? And we've got to making ship happen. That's right, Motsy, making ship happen right here. Let me share with you who's coming up next. We have a very seasoned gentleman sharing incredible information for those of you who need to put boards into place with your business. We're chatting with Mahendra Ramsinghani about building effective boards for startups. And he actually wrote the book, co-authored with Brad Feld, Getting the Most Out of Your Board of Directors. And he has all the insights and advice you need to skillfully navigate this important segment of your startup structure. He also is an investor. He's invested in over 50 pre-seed and seed stage companies. Plus, he was the director of venture capital initiatives for the state of Michigan and their Economic Development Corporation. And he's written several other books. So we're going to have a great time picking that man's brain, right? So I hope you can tune in. And how do you know whenever I post a new show? You are a member of the Startup Life Live meetup group. So hop onto Meetup, find Startup Life Live, or scan that QR code, or click that link, because this is where you learn and grow right here. Hey, thank you, Monsi, for being here today. Great interview and such an amazing host. Thank you. Thank you so much. And RJ from LA, it is a pleasure. So grateful for all of you. Australia, Edinburgh. Thank you too for tuning in and sharing your glow with us today. And also, It's King. Loved seeing you. And podcaster extraordinaire, Richard O. You knocked it out of the park coming in with your glow as well. And everyone, I just want to remind you that, you are braver than you feel sometimes, right? And you are wicked smarter than you think. You've got this. Thank you for tuning in and carving out time to up your founder game. It's always delicious to see you and hear from you. So hop onto Instagram if you want to know what is Ande Lyons up to. Come follow me over there. You'll see all the photos. And I'd also love to follow you back. And LinkedIn, don't forget to connect there as well. Until next time, keep dreaming. And I'm wishing you a delicious day. Cheers.